In Chapter 5, we are learning to graph in two variables. To practice creating the table of values and plotting the points, then completing the graph, we will try to solve exercise 4a, which asks us to graph the relation y equals absolute of x plus 5. Our first concern is to identify which variable is the dependent variable and which variable is the independent variable. The dependent variable is the variable for which the equation is solved for. This equation is solved for y, that makes y the dependent variable. The next step to creating the graph is to find values of the variables that satisfy the equation. To do so, we create an x and y table and we randomly select values of the independent variable, which is x. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and some negative values. Negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6, negative 7. And for those values of the independent variable, we will find the value of the dependent variable. How do we do that? We plug in the value of x into the equation and we will find the value of y. So when x is 0, what is the absolute value of 0 plus 5? Y is equal to 5. For x equals 1, what's the absolute value of 1 plus 5? Y is equal to 6. For x equals 2, what's the absolute of 2 plus 5? Y is going to be 7. What's the absolute of 3 plus 5? Y will be 8. What's the absolute of 4 plus 5? Y will be 9. Continue with some negative values. What is the absolute of negative 1 plus 5? Y is equal to 4. What's the absolute of negative 2 plus 5? Y is equal to 3. What is the absolute of negative 3 plus 5? Y is equal to 2. What's the absolute of negative 4 plus 5? Y is equal to 1. What is the absolute of negative 5 plus 5? Y is equal to 0. What's the absolute of negative 6 plus 5? That is the absolute value of negative 1, which is positive 1. What's the absolute of negative 7 plus 5? That's the absolute value of negative 2. Y is going to be 2. For the values of x and y that we found, we will plot the corresponding points on our graph. So our first point has x equals 0 and y is 5. Our next point has x equals 1 and y is 6. X equals 2, y is 7. X equals 3, y is 8. X equals 4, y is 9. X equals negative 1, y is 4. X equals negative 2, y is 3. X equals negative 3, y is 2. X equals negative 4, y is 1. X equals negative 5, y is 0. X equals negative 6, y is 1. X equals negative 7, y is 2. I see that this is not a straight line, so now I can complete the graph by connecting the dots. Extend in the direction that shows that x can actually go beyond the graphing paper, and this is the graph of y equals absolute value of x plus 5. To answer question exercise 5a, it asks us what are the x-intercepts and the y-intercepts of the graph. The intersection of the blue line with the x-axis occurs at the point negative 5, 0. That will be the x-intercept. The intersection of the blue line, which is the graph we graphed with the y-axis, occurs at the point 0, 5, and that will be our y-intercept.